Talk of the Town.
Good evening, everybody, and hello and welcome to Talk of the Town. If it's Wednesday, it's Talk of the Town, and tonight we have the three amigos. We've got Steve Lydon and, of course, wrestling Brewster, and myself, Andrew Botieri, here for a wonderful full-packed hour of craziness and just all-around fun.
Mic is off.
And yeah, I think we're getting some feedback on that mic that's over here, Ken. Anyways, want to thank our underwriters as always. We have Brewster PC Solutions with Wrestling Brewster right over here. David and Kevin Gallerani of Cape Auto and Auto Service. Also locations in Samoset and on Sandwich Street as well. Great service, great people, and 4 generations of that location. We also have, what happened to some of our other underwriters that I'm always talking about? Where'd they go? Sort of like when I walk into Sears, whatever happened to Roebuck? I just want to know that.
It's no Sears either anymore.
I know, the one left in Kingston. Anyways, as always, we've got some great topics to talk about today, whether it's local stuff, and I know it's both Steve and wrestling have some local stuff. Also national, we'll probably maybe get into some politics because it's been a pretty crazy couple weeks with Mr. Donald Trump and also with Hillary Clinton now having to finally turn over her server to the FBI, as well as some international stuff, and we're going to talk about that with wrestling. We just came back from Plymouth, England, and also some other areas around Plymouth, sort of retracing his heritage along with his son Noah. And we were just talking about it off air, and it's pretty exciting stuff. So I guess to get started, I know what we wanted to do, or at least what I wanted to do, was sort of again congratulate both Ken Bukes and Steve Lydon for really spearheading the major, I guess, issue that we had a couple weeks ago, the cooling off issue. We had Southfield with the Housing Authority not allowing seniors to have air conditionings in their home. I know that Fire Chief Bradley went in there, and in some cases, some of the apartments were in excess of 85, 88 degrees, which when it comes to elderly can be extremely deadly. And it just blows me away that we've got a housing authority that just doesn't listen. And so I guess we'll start by, again, I wanted to first just hold this up if we can. This was in this weekend's paper, which talked about, again, the air conditioning, having the selectmen talking to some of the individuals at the housing authority. But more so down here was our fearless leader, Ken, and also Steve, who spoke at the selectmen's meeting that they had last week. So I guess, Steve, I'm going to throw it over to you, seeing that you have been in the heat, no pun intended, in the heat of this issue. So go right ahead.
Well, it all started a long time ago, but on our last program, The Three Amigos, we spoke about it, and we had one woman called up and said she wrote the governor's office, and then Ken and I both felt we had to do something. So I called Fox News, and Fox News came down and spent the whole day and did a series on the 5, 6, I think the 10 o'clock news, and then they did it the next day. And that really brought it to a forefront. That really brought it so everyone kind of knew what was going on. The following day, they had an emergency meeting with the Housing Authority and the Board of Selectmen. We had another meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Housing Authority, and there was one this Tuesday night. One thing on the agenda, the Selectmen's agenda, was the Housing Authority, and none of them showed. And that was kind of very disappointing because we're trying to get this issue done. But before I really go into it, I want to thank Ken Bukes. I mean, Ken Bukes, without him, this wouldn't have happened. Okay, he answered the phone calls, he got the phone calls, we worked together, but Ken was right out there up front, on most of it, and I was kind of just helping Ken and following along, but was Ken. But Ken Tavares has visited the apartments. He's been there. Matt Moratori's been to several meetings talking to the citizens at Southfield, and all our department heads. Everyone has pitched in. It seems like the only one that hasn't pitched in is the Housing Authority. So like I said, I went to the meeting last Tuesday at the Selectman's office, expecting them to be there, and I had some questions, and I still have these questions. Like, I would like to know what the qualifications are and the salary for our director, Dee Dee. I don't know what her qualifications are.
Great question.
And the other thing I wanted to ask is Mr. Blanchard. Mr. Blanchard is an architect. Why are we paying an architect to be in charge of maintenance? I mean, his pay scale is a hell of a lot more, I would think, than a maintenance director. So I don't know why we're paying them. And there's a lot of other things that have been going on. And when we went to Castle Court, the roofs are deteriorating. They're in horrible condition. They need to be replaced. We wanted to install some air conditioners in Castle Court, and we weren't allowed. They went into a couple apartments, and we were told, well, you know, if I plug in my coffee pot, it blows the circuit breaker. Or if I put my fan on, it blows the circuit breaker. So I don't know if those cases are just to those apartments, or is it the whole complex? I don't know. But in the meantime, we have 20 air conditioners that have been donated by business people in this community so we could help, since Southfield is done, and it's a cool place to live, except for the community room, which is not done. But we want to, you know, we don't want to stop. We want to go to Castle's Court. We've identified people in there who need conditioners. And we're not allowed to go in there. We're not allowed to donate our air conditioners to them people. We're not allowed to install them. And to me, that's crazy. There's one woman over there whose husband's going to have heart surgery on Monday. And she went out and bought her own air conditioner, but, you know, and we can't help. We had volunteers that will install. I mean, this isn't just the business community buying them. This has been a lot of people who've been installing them. You know, it's been a lot of people. They're not allowed to go out there. I can't call one of these people up and say, can you go to this woman's apartment and install her air conditioner before her husband has surgery? I can't do that because I was told that we're not permitted to be in there by the housing authority.
What would happen if you did?
I understand that maybe if something went wrong with one of our air conditioners, that Ken Bukes and I would be liable. And unfortunately, I can't afford lawsuit or you know, because they might have faulty equipment and, you know, their wiring might be faulty. The air conditioner might be fine, but, you know, if the air conditioner caused it, then they could sue me, and I can't do that.
But yet, on the other hand, you've got a housing authority that has no accountability. They have no liability if you're looking at it along those same lines. And it's almost like, you know, they can do whatever the hell that they want, and there's no recourse. That to me is it's just, especially in this time where they're especially dealing with elderly people, where, you know, where heat is something. You know, I had my two aunties that lived on Olmsted, and we would actually make them turn on the air conditioner because they just we don't want to go through the expense. It's expensive. No, your health, and you could hear them labor and breathing because of the heat. And to me, it's just you know. So I'd like to know, with the housing authority, you know, first, not showing up for a scheduled meeting with the selectmen. I mean, what a slap in the face to our local selectmen and to the residents of Castle Hill, as well as Southfield and Ken and Steve, but also a slap in the face to the Plymothians who, for some reason, we've elected, I think, at least one of these people we've elected, which, again, next time we have an election, people, make sure you don't vote for any of these people who are in the housing authority. I mean, you got to be kidding me. It blows me away.
That is not to bring up the sore subject, but that is the only recourse that we have, and there's a lot of different parts of our Plymouth government that have no checks and balances, or seem to have no checks and balances, and you know, the town meeting should have some oversight of these different organizations. The selectmen should have some more oversight, but it does come down to us as voters and town, you know, members of this town, that when something like this happened, not only did Ken and Steve and the community come together, but it can't be forgotten. Like you said,
Yeah.
you need to keep going, but we need to remember this during election time. We need to remember this. Someone needs to get up at town meeting and say, hey, remember this happened.
Well,
What can we do about it?
There is a recourse. Unfortunately, it's an authority, and authorities do not come under the town government. Do not come under the selectmen. They don't
Don't come
answer
on
that.
anything.
Right, that's the
But that's
problem.
the way it is. But that has to be done, I guess, through the state, not through the town.
Really?
I think. I'm not sure. But there is a recourse, and it was mentioned last night, and that is a recall election. And that was mentioned Tuesday night at the meeting. But, you know, there's a lot of other stuff. You know, there's a lot of problems. And I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what their budget is. I don't know how they're going to get the roofs fixed, how they're going to fit the electrical, how are they going to afford to put sleeves in with no air conditioners, and the elderly can't afford to buy them to put into the sleeves. So I don't, you know, it's just a lot of things, you know. And I was told by one of the apartments, the seniors, knowing that her apartment hasn't been painted in 10 years. So I don't know if they have any kind of maintenance program. I don't know if they have any system where we do so many apartments a year, we refurbish them, we repaint them, clean the carpets, you know, and things like that. I know in Weymouth they do it. I know that for a fact. I don't know what their schedule is, but I know they do that. So it's just beyond me, and
Are they
I
state
don't.
funded?
Yeah.
So they're state funded.
But
So if they're state funded,
they get their budgets the same as.
But would we have, as citizens, and you know, the right of inquiry to look at state records, would we be able to go in, one, see what the Plymouth Housing Authority's budget is, one, two, what their salary structure is, and if they do have a comprehensive, you know, maintenance program, because wouldn't it be interesting to find out that, you know, that their salaries are, you know, let's just say because of other state things that we've seen, six figures, and yet here they are, you know, not painting people's apartments, not fixing roofs, but yet they're all getting six figures a year.
Yeah, well, that should be under the Freedom of Information
Yeah.
Act. And if you want information about their meetings, they have no minutes. Russ Shirley came into the meeting and he gave the selectmen each a copy of their meetings, their agendas, and their minutes. They have agendas, but they have no minutes. Maybe one word or three words. They're just a bunch of blank papers. So
The Harbor Committee's got to have an agenda.
what
I
they-
can't believe they don't have to.
what
Sort of
they
like Hillary with her own server, doesn't it?
so I
Well,
don't
go
know.
down there.
So I don't know what was discussed at their meetings, and neither does anybody else. And I'm sure I'm on a committee, and if you said, "Gee, what happened to the meeting back in June?" I'm saying, "I don't know.
Let's look.
Let's look." You know, but we can't even do that now. So there's a lot of problems, and I you know, we've been talking to Matt and Vinny's aware of it, and even Bill Keating's office has been notified. I mean, there's just so many people involved, and all they want to do is dig their heels in. And you know, when they found out about the windows and the egress windows and not being allowed, it's a state regulation, right? And Matt thought there could be a variance because he was reading the paperwork, but there's not a variance, so they're not allowed to have them in there. But this has been going on for months. And now, if I was on a committee like this, the first thing I would do is say, wow, we got a problem here. How are we going to fix this? What can we do to help to change this? They've done none of that. That's what it says. That's what it is. What you see is what you get. And they haven't seemed to make any effort to solve the problem. And they don't have much credibility anymore because first they said the fire department says you can't put them in there. The building department said you couldn't put them in there. Then it's going to affect the integrity of the brand new windows. Then it's going to affect the aesthetics of the outside of the building, putting air conditioners protruding out windows. So, you know.
So the aesthetics of a building over the health of an individual. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
It doesn't make
That's
sense.
bureaucracy at its best.
When it's 88 and 92 degrees in some of these apartments, you know, they have breathing problems, they're elderly. This isn't right, you know, and this is, I mean, Ken Brooks and I, we saw this and we felt that we had to do something because it's not right. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just not right.
Well, when you've got, you know, I don't care what individual, group, committee, where they're not keeping minutes, first question is, why? You know, and when there's none of that accountability, if you will, then it's so easy for corruption to creep in. And I'm not claiming that they're corrupt, but I'm just saying it lends itself to that, to where the point is, what are they hiding?
No oversight.
There's no oversight at all.
Who's their immediate? Where do they fall underneath the
HUD?
I'm not sure how the hierarchy goes, and I think it's HUD, because I know there's state-owned buildings, from what I was told.
HUD, state and federal.
HUD, state and federal, from the booth. Wow. Well, Keating.
Yeah, that's
And it's one thing that you have to, the only thing for bad things to happen, evil to happen, is good men to do nothing. Obviously, you and Ken have stepped up and started to yell and scream. We need to keep yelling and screaming, and that's something that I think we as a nation need to embrace. As a nation, we need to continually say, this is wrong, we feel it's wrong, and we want it fixed. And we've gotten, it's like customer service. We've gotten so used to getting crappy customer service that we're used to it. We just let it happen. And something like this, well, okay, what are we supposed to do? You guys did something about it, but, we all need to speak up more and say, no, this isn't right.
Well, Connie DeLago from the Council of Aging was at the first selectmen's meeting, I guess it was, and she came out and said, yeah, that's a regulation. No windows, no air conditioning, egress windows, but you also have regulations that come under the Health and Care Act, that you have to provide a safe place for these people to live. 92 degrees, 88 is not safe. So you're violating this regulation because you're following that regulation.
Well, the question, though, Steve, is when they were looking at, redoing these, refurbishing these, the windows and putting in these new window panels, at what point did they step back and go, where are we going to put air conditioners for these elderly people because it gets up to 90 plus degrees?
They weren't.
And for them not to do that just shows you a level of incompetence that is just, it's rifling through government. I mean, you look at any level of government.
It's not just that. It's their solution.
The ghost.
The solution was, when they asked what they were doing, well, we're trying to figure this out, and we're going to put a sleeve in, and we'll put an air conditioner in. But what happened is, the air conditioner keeps on overheating. Well, the assistant building inspector, the fellow that's under Mr. McAuliffe, come out and said, here, this is to tell you, this shows you in writing that ULs tells you you cannot put a window air conditioner into a sleeve. So
because it doesn't have the ventilation.
Because it will cause a fire. So now they want to put sleeves in, but they can only do 4 or 5 at a time, because if they get any more, then they're going to have to go through the Procurement Act and this and that, and it will take months to go through all that. So they're going to have 4 or 5 they can put in. But they're not going to put air conditioners in. So what good is it to put a sleeve in if the elderly people can't afford $600, $700, $800 air conditioner to go in?
It's idiocy.
We have a speaker.
It's that camera there, guys.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just want to add one thing to what Stevie is talking about. The sleeves, when you buy them, they come as a matched set. You can go out and buy just the sleeve and put it in the building. You need a building permit because you're modifying the structure of the building, number one. They installed one, no permit, and they affected the structure of the building. Number two, when you buy the sleeve, you're supposed to buy them as a matched pair. The air conditioner is in it, you buy the sleeve, that goes on a pallet and goes off to the job site wherever it is. The town can purchase them for $699 a piece. Take the unit out of the slide, put the slide in the building. Once the slide is installed in the building, after you get the necessary permits, then you slide the unit back in, and it'll cool the place off. It'll cool it off just fine. The problem is what Ms. Resendez said at the very first meeting was that the window units were okay, until the sleeves were installed. And then once the sleeves were installed, she wanted the window units that the business community had donated to these people to be installed inside the sleeves. Can't do it. Underwriter Laboratory says you cannot do it. It causes a fire. Jesus. Okay? Now, why I came out was you brought up, one of you two guys brought up a very good point. What is it when they said they were going to replace the windows back in 2006? What they did in 2006 when they replaced the windows, anybody that had a window unit installed at that time was grandfathered and they would put it back into the window. That was about 16 apartments, Stevie?
Yep, roughly.
So those people were grandfathered in. They were able to have their window units back. The rest of the people were told they were going to get a standalone. So they bring in this air conditioner, a 10,000 BTU air conditioner on wheels. It looks like R2-D2. It's got this long hose that goes out a window. So you wheel it to the window, you put it in the window, and then you wheel it over here, turn it on. Well, by the time the air goes out the hose or comes in the hose,
It's not effective.
Yeah.
awful. Those are the same units that are over at Castle Court. Anyways, I'm going to go away because I'll take up the whole hour this way. But I'll
Well, you
go
were very
back in there.
passionate to get this started a couple weeks
Yeah, thank you.
ago, Ken, and thank you for. Again, it's unfortunate it takes us to be angry about a situation to get other people angry. Which, I mean, we had that lady Pat, I think her name was, Steve, when we were
think
here a
it
couple
was, yeah.
weeks ago, that called in about this incident. And then she had a mother or father that
Father, I
father
believe.
that lived there.
Those are the people that stirred me up to get involved. And
And the thing is, like any time government is under assault, which we see that in our own federal government, they wait for this stuff to die down,
Right.
So they can continue doing
Right.
what they've been doing.
Hope it dies
And
down.
we can't let it die down. We
it's
got to
not
keep
going
it going.
away. Stevie and I are not going to let it go
No.
away.
Yeah.
My phone is still ringing. I got a phone call tonight from a businessman in town. And even though we have been told that we can't go over there with these 20 air conditioning units that are sitting in Benny's waiting to be installed, and I got to give Benny's kudos.
Good for
They're
them.
holding them. There's no problem. Take whatever time you need. I got a phone call today. I had a phone call last week from one of our underwriters of the show. The Lions Club put up money last week. We can't spend it. We can't spend it because they won't allow us to put any units in. I got another call today. I got a promise for another $1,000 if we get over there and we could do things over there. So they're still calling me up and they're still wanting to give money and they're still wanting to help senior citizens because I think these people have a conscience. Whereas
Yeah.
the housing authority, in my ever so humble opinion, doesn't have a conscience.
And I think the three of us would concur that there is no conscience, and so I mean, I think we need to look seriously at what it would take to do a recall election for these people, and I personally am going to call my state senator as well as the congressman as well, to see what we can do regarding HUD and getting this housing authority to have some accountability. This is crap.
It's outrageous, Andrew.
It is.
It's outrageous. And you take one walk through I was there twice. Once with Stevie, we went to apartments. And it was a sweltering day that we were there. I couldn't deal with it in the building. The building was so hot. I went back. I got a phone call from the chairman of the board, the select board, and he said, you're off getting air conditioning units. I said, yeah, the last units are being installed and over there. And that's a group of volunteers that don't even want to be acknowledged. They don't want their name out
That's right.
there. It's amazing. These guys work all day long and then they come down there and install an air conditioning units. But anyways, he called me over there at Benny's And he said, I want to meet you. I want you to take me over to Castle Court. I took him over to Castle Court. We went to 2 different apartments. I had never seen anything like it in my life. The awful conditions over there. Something needs to be done. The people of this town have to stand up to this authority. They have to get involved. These people need to be held accountable. I have to get away from the microphone. The best thing that Connie DeLago put in my head was, Ken, it's inhumane treatment that they are doing
That's right.
and perpetrating upon our
Residents.
underprivileged
Yeah.
and senior citizens.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll go back in the booth.
Thank you.
You know, the other thing, too, I want to bring up, when they have their meetings, it's 9:30 in the morning.
So who the hell can go that works for a living?
Gee, you figured that out, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did, too. I'm saying, why would you have a meeting at 9:30? And then they have them at their headquarters at 130 Court Street, and you have to be buzzed in. You just can't walk in. You have to be buzzed in.
Is it a posted meeting?
Yeah,
If you
it's
have an
posted,
appointment.
It's posted?
but you have to be
Is
buzzed
there
in
an
to get in.
agenda?
There is an agenda, but they keep no meetings. They keep no minutes that we can find. Maybe they have a recording someplace, or I don't know. But still, if they did, it
Should
should
be
have
a
been.
designee from
It should have been in the
selectmen or
the
something.
clerk's office.
Now, I know that when, because Steve had called Fox, and Fox News came down here, and it was on TV, which was kind of neat
Big star.
to see that
I
going.
wasn't on it.
Hey, work.
But
Mention her name.
when the housing authority, and I forget what it is. Is that Blanchard?
Blanchard.
Actually pulled up and saw the Fox News team there. He jumped in his truck and drove away.
Damn straight. Damn straight.
So, what would it maybe take to get a hold of Fox again and just say, hey, we really appreciate you guys coming down here. It's still happening.
Well, I don't know. I know the girl. I don't remember her last name. Her name was Crystal, the reporter, and she was here the whole day. Her and her staff, the cameraman, were here a whole day. And I'll tell you, she said to me, because I called. She goes, I have so much footage. I don't think I can get you on. I said, that's good. Get the seniors on. They come out. Because of you were
Right.
here, they come out. Those are the stories you want to hear.
Right.
And the way she treated them, she was very nice to them and listened to this, took time to listen, ask the questions. So Fox did a good job. I did call Channel 5, but they never called me back. And like I said, I called Towne when I heard they were coming. I called like around 9:30 in the morning, and 10 o'clock. They called me back and said, "We're going to be there at 11:45." So I called the town manager because I think
That's what
she
you should
should
do.
know.
Yeah.
And she got a hold of Ken Tavares, and he come down, and Matt was there. And it was, there's so many people. It's not just me and Ken. I mean, maybe we lit the fire, but everyone else has been adding wood to it, But the town manager, I'm sure through all the extra work this has cost her and her staff. The fire chief, Ed Bradley's he's been around all the time, in and out of the apartments and the meetings and. It's everyone, and it seems like everyone's together except this one little group, and it's sad. It's sad that's the way it is, because I told them at a meeting, I'm not here to step on anybody's toes. I just want to help. That's all I want to do. And I understand they have budgets and they have constraints, but, we just want to help these people. I mean, it's hot. Damn it, it's hot. You carry an air conditioner 2 in there, you come out, you're soaking wet. You sweat that much, and the breathing, it's hard to breathe in there. And that's all we're doing this for. And it's a shame that one little group doesn't want to. It seems to me, in my opinion, they just dug their heels in, and the rule says no, and no is no, and that's it.
And nothing will change, unfortunately, unless one of those elderly people, God forbid,
Yep.
passes away because of heat stroke or whatever.
Rule gets
And if
changed
that's
then.
the case, then
Shame on them.
shame on them. Where is the negligence in the death of that individual fall on the housing authority?
Well, they'll probably pass the buck saying, well, it's a state rule, go talk to the state.
Right.
We just follow, that's what they keep
You
on
have to get permission
saying.
to sue the state.
We're following rules. And
Okay. Okay, if anyone wants to call in, 508-830-3971. If anyone out there would like to contribute to...
Anyone with the last name Gallerani?
Anybody with the last name
Or not
Gallerani, or Brewster, or Costa, whatever it might be. But 508-830-3971 is our number. You can talk live to us about this issue or any other issues. And so we've got already halfway through the show. Ken, you talk a lot. What the hell's up with that?
Yeah, it was Ken Bukes. He
That's
took
me.
the show, yeah.
That's my
The
fault.
fourth amigo.
The fourth amigo, yeah.
The unseen amigo.
The unseen amigo.
The three and a half,
knows
the
when
three
he
and a half amigos. But I did want to, back over here, thank you. I did want to obviously give Wrestling Brewster some airtime. Obviously, as many of you know, he is a great 11th removed grandson of our founder, Wrestling Brewster, William Brewster, along with Bradford back in the day.
Back in the day.
And we just had with the upcoming 400, which is the Plymouth's 400th anniversary, the 2020, wrestling, his beautiful wife Belinda, and their son Noah, along with about another 30 plus students here from Plymouth, Mass, went over to Plymouth, England, and had a concert with 150 kids from the Plymouth, England area. But wrestling got to sort of retrace his heritage, is walking through some of the same footsteps that is probably that William Brewster did back in early 1600s. And so it's an intriguing story. It's like when I went to Italy and I got to break bread with my Italian family on my grandmother's side. It's just such an emotional thing. So I wanted to turn it over to you and just tell everybody. I mean, I think it's just a wonderful story, and especially his son Noah now is a rock star over in England.
He's a rock star. The BBC was really into it. And if you look at what really happened at Catalyst, about 2 years ago, Dr. Maestes and the school, when they went over to England 2 years ago, the selectmen went over and Dr. Maestes went over, they started talking about getting together and getting a chorus together that would come over to England, and some of the English kids could come over here. And they built upon that, and it was just a tremendous thing. And my son came up to me probably 6 months ago, no, a year ago, and said, they're building this chorus going over to England. I want to go. And we said, oh, what a wonderful opportunity. What an incredible opportunity it turned out to be. Not only an opportunity for my son and the 30 kids that went over, but for Plymouth and for Plymouth, England. We went over there, and the English people were so welcoming. The BBC was so interested in my son and about the Pilgrim story. I was talking to Dr. Maestes afterwards, and he was saying every taxi driver in Plymouth knew the story. Unfortunately, not all the kids knew the story, and I said, not all our kids know the story. And we also had the opportunity to go over to Scrooby, where the Pilgrims actually grew up, where the Catalyst happened. One of my great dreams is to tell the story from that end. From, when we talk about history, we talk about the Rock in 1620 when they landed. Well, a lot happened before that. A lot happened before they even left Plymouth, England. If you go all the way back to Scrooby when they first started, that's where that story really started. How much persecution and how much, they were killed and persecuted and put in jail before they even left Scrooby. Towards that end, one of the big, huge things that we need to make sure is a big, huge thing is the 400th. It's our anniversary. It's my ancestors and your ancestors' anniversary of the landing of the Pilgrims here in Plymouth. And I kept biting my tongue when I was over there because I kept saying to the English people, wow, you guys are almost more into this than we are because we left your country. But they're so interested in the history, and they're so excited about the 400th. Sitting in a small town of Scrooby, they were like, is this going to help us? Do you think that this is going to help us in our economy, in our, getting people to come here? And I said, yeah, sure, of course it should. I was interviewed by this woman who's doing a film on Scrooby, and she, along with BBC and other people, said, why is this story important? Gosh.
Wow.
And it's a great question, because if you look at what the Pilgrims did, I was talking to someone from the Mayflower 400th, which is their 2020 commission, and he said, if you think about it, if you went to a producer and pitched a movie about some simple people who were being persecuted and had 17,000 false starts, they tried to leave England, and the women and children were left behind. One of the people, one of the Lord Mayors came up to me and he says, I have a historical question. How did the Pilgrims with no money get to the Netherlands? How did they get there? And I said, well, the funny story is that they went out at low tide, and the men got into this boat because they were going out there first. And the women and children were behind when the authorities came. The authorities came and arrested them. The guys in the boat had to leave. So they left their women and children, which they put in jail. So they had this magistrate who came before the magistrate, and he's like, I can't send you back because the authorities are looking for you, and I can't keep you in jail because I'm, so the guy looked at me and said, so the government sent them over, paid for them to go over to the other. Yeah, it did. But it's just something that's important to me, and we as a town need to get behind this. Mm-hmm. We need to. The 400th is got to be in front of everything. There's got to be an event every. I know Michelle Picarero from the commission is out every night touting this,
yeah.
But we as a town have got to get behind this, because
It's only 4.5 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've been saying that for 10 years.
Yeah.
Only 10 years.
Yeah.
Only 9 years. Only 4.5 years.
Sort of like the same thing about a parking garage?
Oh, my goodness.
I bring that up all the time because it just pisses me off that 30 years we've been trying to get a parking garage.
That's what Dickie Quintal said. Dickie Quintal said when I first started on the board, we were talking about one that we've been doing it for 30 years. But it's one thing that we talk a lot about, at least the commission does, is infrastructure. I know we're doing a lot on Samoset Street, and it's a pain in the butt for the people, but this is one of the things that we're looking at is we've got to get those infrastructure things in place. And we've got to go to the state and the federal government. When I came back, I was so excited, and I was so amazed at how the English people were into this. And I talked to Michelle, and I said, they're into this. They want to do this. They want to do this. They're doing that. They're doing that. She goes, yeah, their government gave them $4 million. Our state government has given us nothing. Like $200,000 of a matching grant.
$250,000 matching grant.
Matching grant.
So
it's somebody's got to wake up. Yeah. And it's I came back from England, and I said to my wife, no way, no how is this going to be 200 people on Coles Hill and the governor. It's going to be the president, and it's going to be 4,000 people on Coles Hill.
Because they have
got to be
the prince and princess from England.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
we're hoping Harry, because he'd be really.
Harry would be very cool.
Yeah,
we'll take him to the BBC.
Yes, that's right.
They have to understand that this isn't just a Plymouth thing.
Oh my God.
If people come to Plymouth, they're going to Boston. It's a whole area. Everyone's going to be affected. Everyone's going to make out on this.
Oh, yeah.
Better than the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
this will make up for the Olympics. This will make up for the Olympics.
They're not going to need stadiums or housing or villages.
But there's also the existential part of this, which is, their experiment created the United States of America.
Right.
And I remember reading Nathaniel Philbrooks, which is just I thought was a fantastic book, the Mayflower. But I mean, they even did the experiment where initially that they tried socialism, where they would just a group of people would start growing the vegetables and the food and everything, and they found out that there was also a group of men who were lazy bums, didn't do anything. And, William Brewster and Bradford said, no, well, wait a minute. And they gave each person their own plot of land and said,
there you go.
There you go. So even back then they realized, socialism, communism didn't work.
And if they rededicated the Mayflower Compact, and I made a speech, and And one of the things that when I was asked, why is this history important? Well, if you look at how our country was built, the Mayflower Compact was the precursor to the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. If you talk to the people who made the Declaration of Independence, they said, we looked at the compact. Our forefathers, that Forefathers Monument, the least known monument in the United States, but our forefathers built on that. And my wife keeps reminding me that the Magna Carta, which was 800 years ago.
Which you guys got to see.
Right, which we got to see while we were over there. But that's what the English people took from. And there's somebody actually, one of the historians told me that she believed that William Brewster had a outline of the Mayflower Compact before he left for Plymouth, Massachusetts, and that it wasn't written in Provincetown Harbor, but it was finished in Provincetown.
The draft was probably something that
they had thought about, but in talking to the English people, that's what they're excited about.
Yeah.
Because it was English people who made the Mayflower Compact, who made our nation. And it was like, because I was so interested and so amazed that they were so interested into the story. And they said, oh, of course we are. You might have left, but we were the people who made those people. We birthed those people. That's a great, It was just a.
Well, they birthed the people, but they also birthed, because even back, through the Middle Ages of England, where again you had the aristocrats, you had the royalty, and you had the peasants, and at some point, they overthrew that and started getting more freedom.
Right.
Unfortunately, was for the Pilgrims and their religion, if you weren't of the king's religion, then you were persecuted.
Right.
And look at how we are today, where we're protective of race, creed, religion. Here, the reason that's in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is because of the compact that was written by the Pilgrims. So when people, when they don't realize that, I mean, even people here that live in Plymouth haven't been to the plantation. I mean, I've been probably in the 15 years I've been here, I've probably been like a dozen times.
My son's been in the Plymouth school system and has not been to the plantation yet. With the Plymouth School.
Well, it's a great thing. But the other thing, you guys, I want to change a little bit because you guys talk about the history, which is very important. But I see it because I walk the waterfront a lot, and I walk with my best friend Gus, my dog. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, the people you meet, and not just Plymouth people, but I've talked to people from Japan and from England and these are the people that are going to be here. They can add so much. Meeting these people, talking to these people that you probably never see. It's great. It's a great experience to share and to sit down, sit and talk with somebody for 5 minutes is not from here. It's a great experience. And I think that is another thing that's going to happen. All these people are going to come here, and they're from different countries and different backgrounds, and they want to talk, they want to share, and it's great. It's a sharing of people, and I think that's great.
And there's always a group at the Rock.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And taking pictures of the different signs that are the little historical signs. When I lived in Philadelphia, and I've mentioned this to Michelle Paccararo as well, and I lived right in Center City, and pretty much, as you get closer to Liberty Hall, where the Liberty Bell is, and the Constitutional Hall, where the Congress was, the original Congress, the original court as well, that pretty much every street corner has a storyboard.
Yes.
And so you can, before you get to a place, you read about it. I was sitting with Susan, Sue, who owns. It's right on Lydon Street. It's the gift shop that's right at the. What's that?
Belgian.
No.
Anyway.
Anyways, she's right there, right next to the Scientology, or not Scientology, the Christian Monitor.
Christian Science reading room.
But and Sue, if you're listening, I apologize. I love your shop. I buy a lot of stuff there because I like to shop local. But we were standing outside one day, and I said to her, and here she is, she's a store owner, and I said, we're looking down Lydon, and I said, did you realize this was the original plantation? And she goes, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
And this was fairly early on, and it just amazes me when I take my Philadelphia experience where you couldn't get away from a storyboard. That you're there, and there's nothing. There's a little plaque in the ground in the pavement about that big.
Right, and that's one of the things that I think Plymouth really misses the boat, for lack of a better term, no pun intended, is we have nothing that the Pilgrim Hall, the plantation, the Rock, the Mayflower, the Forefathers Monument, all of these things combined, where when you come to Plymouth, there's nothing that says these are the things that you should see. There's no, I would love someone in Plymouth garb standing on every corner in Plymouth, Massachusetts, talking about you should go here next. You should start at the Rock, go to the boat, go to Pilgrim Hall, see all the stuff there, go to the Forefathers Monument, go to the plantation, go to the Spooner House, go to the
Brewster Gardens,
all of these things, but there's nothing, and I've talked to the plantation, I've talked to Pilgrim, we do our thing and they do theirs.
And that's the problem.
If you guys could get together and you talk about storyboards, when we went to Salisbury, there was these little statuettes. And my wife said, what are these? And the person went, those are the saints. And there's different saints for different things. There were 24 saints that were across Salisbury, in probably from 2 miles away all the way into Salisbury. And they each told a story, and they're all painted in different things. Somebody came to the selectmen talking about doing dolphins for the 400th on every street corner. No. We do pilgrims. Thank you.
Free Willy.
But but that's what we need to look at. It's a town. We need to say, this is our history. When we come to America's hometown, you need to come to history. You need to come and see the history, and it needs to be laid out in such a way that
like the Freedom Trail,
the necklace that they were talking about.
I had people come in from Oklahoma, and I don't know why, but I love Forefathers Monument. I think that's just a great
least known monument in the United States.
It's the largest solid granite statue, I think, in the country.
Right, but nobody knows about it.
But I brought them there, and they were taking pictures, and they were and I took them to Burial Hill because we didn't have much time. They weren't going to be here that long. But it's true. We don't make it easy for anyone to get anywhere. People coming in from Boston who want to go to Plymouth Plantation. Okay, they have to take the bus to downtown Plymouth to get the bus to go to the plantation, and it's the same thing to come back. Well, a lot of them, I know for a fact that they've been on schedules,
right.
And if they do, they can't do what they want to do because it's not made easy.
No,
and
why not have a duck boat?
Or something.
Went to all these different things with a tour guide.
If you go to Exit 5, the information center, and I'm sure they have it down here. Destination Plymouth has a beautiful map, and it has all the different things to see.
Nobody knows what that is.
But pardon me?
Nobody knows what that is. Nobody sees that.
Well, the information center is right down, but you can get them there. But if they were made more available, or something,
we need tour guides.
You need something.
Yeah, you do. You really need something that brings it all home. And I've talked to different entities.
We need one more bar.
Yeah, they're making money.
They are.
The argument with that is everybody says, the selectmen approved another.
And I don't mind that because I drink.
And you play music.
And I play music. Speaking of that, I will be at the Pilgrim Sands playing Friday night, the August 21st, from 6:30 to 9:30. No, I say that because I hear that from so many people, and wrestling. My response is the same. It's bringing in a tax base. It's bringing in people.
They're full. They're full every Friday night. They're full.
Name one place that isn't full.
Right.
It's amazing. But this town was built on history,
And we don't exploit it.
No, we don't.
Yeah, and we
We don't,
just
for lack of a better term.
It's like we really don't. Yeah, and it's like we really don't give a crap.
And that's
No, we don't.
No.
They're and when I'm out in the GQ public and I'm talking about the 400th, why do we want to do that? Oh my God!
Well, you see some of the stuff in Speak Out. Why do we want to spend all this money? But, well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll buy the bus ticket to get you the hell out of town. This is why we live here. This is the history of this town, and you know myself. I mean, I had a descendant, William White, who came over on the Mayflower. Was one of the first passengers to die and get buried in Coles Hill. And on the Italian side, my grandparents immigrated here legally, and they just had to throw that in. Sorry. From the Bologna area, actually San Agostino and Cento. Mainly because, again, of cordage. And in cordage, we did that whole thing where they brought a lot of Italians in who worked with hemp, which is how the rope was made.
Yep.
So I feel even more blessed that both my families got started here in this little town called Plymouth. And to me, it just, I sit and smile about it because it just blows me away. But again, when people that have a store here don't realize that on Lydon Street was the plantation, and there's nothing that says it, it's almost criminal.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be important to people.
No, it isn't. It really isn't.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Like I said, I go to Fort. You ask people, oh, you see Fort Fire? What's that?
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. And
See the lady with giving the finger
Yeah.
up on the top of the hill? That's the 400th.
and it just people they don't seem to care. They're not interested. Maybe.
Well, you have some kids who the forefathers. Wasn't that George Washington?
Mary Lowe.
But see, I think a lot of that too comes from the schooling. How many kids?
The lack of schooling.
How many kids today have American history, geography? It's
One of the things Peter Gomes was talking about with the 400th when God rest his soul, when he was still here, is he said, the commission said that we want to be able to be in every school. We want every school who's graduating in 2020, every student who's graduating to know
the story.
that story.
Yeah,
It's the story of our civilization.
They don't teach it anymore.
No,
they don't know.
No, it hasn't even had history in the first
there's no
4
history
years of
anymore.
school.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I think we got a phone call.
Do we have a phone call? We don't have a phone call.
What do you order? Pizza?
Our producer is ordering pizza.
Ken is screening the phone call.
Oh, like all the other calls?
Yeah. Well, don't keep the line there. Just the other people who want to call.
If you're trying to call, just hang up and call back again, will you?
Exactly.
Who's on line 2?
Who's on first?
Poor Ken.
Oh, poor Ken.
Poor Ken gets the
Hold on.
Oh, do we have a caller?
Go ahead, caller.
Okay, so, you're talking about Central. That's my hometown,
Hey, yeah. What's the matter for you?
Kenny, we need volume.
We're going to,
Hey, Davy G.
That whole thing you're talking about on Lydon Street, we're not going to talk about the stupid air conditioners. That whole thing's crazy. But it's bad marketing.
Yep.
It's bad marketing. You got to get Rick Carlson to get down there and market the thing so it is actually paying attention.
Pass out pens.
That's right.
So I'm giving a plug for Rick Carlson. He would get it done. He would actually get it done.
Come on, Rick, get on it, will you, man?
Right? I mean, you guys are absolutely right. I went to Mystic Seaport last week on my way back from a wedding down in New Haven. And it was beautiful. And we walked around like a bunch of tourists, my wife and I. And we learned a lot of stuff that we didn't know about because it's 100 years later than Plymouth Plantation. It was wonderful. I'd never been there, and I figured I'm never going to be here again. So we stopped and we went there. We sat down. We had lunch. We had a beer, and we drove home. It was great. We spent a couple hours there walking around and all the different things. They had a thing on the rope company on
Cordage, yeah.
Cordage, yeah.
Cordage is right
That's
there.
the actual building from the Cordage.
Yep.
We watched the film down there. I've probably never seen a film up here.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
I was there last year, Dave, and I said the same thing. I'm like, and it shows you how they made the rope and everything. And I'm like, this is from Plymouth. What the hell? Why don't we have anything like that?
Yeah.
Right. And the only reason they had it there was because they used the cordage and the rope to run the ships, obviously. And it was part of the whole shtick of what was going on there.
Yep.
They made ships and they built boats and ships and sent them out to sea or whatever. And it was a great take. It was a great take.
Yep.
And Plymouth, and you know what?
They don't know you there, though.
It was very clean. Yeah, I know. But it's very clean, and that's another thing that I have a problem with. And I know we're doing all this construction and all this stuff, but every time I pull up to a light, whether it's on 44 or if it's on West Plymouth, and you look, you're sitting at the stoplight, and there's cigarette butts all over the ground.
Yep.
And there's areas the state controls. I'm not saying it's the town's fault because the town can't do everything. But you get to the clover leaves and all different things, and it's crappy. It's lousy.
Yep.
And we need to clean the place up.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else to say. The 400, I'm a big supporter of the 400. I think it's the greatest thing.
I know you are.
So, keep up the good work and keep pounding away. And if you guys need any help, call me.
Great, Dave. Thank you, buddy.
David.
Thanks, David.
Okay.
Now, there's a guy that
Understands. He understands.
He's a community guy.
community guy, 4 generations of being here. He's the 3rd generation. His son Kevin and his daughter are the 4th generation. And, he's a guy that just exudes Plymouth. I mean, he's just wonderful.
Yeah.
It's just such a humanitarian, and he's always there to support, whatever group needs help. And I think that's just wonderful. Wonderful guy.
Yep.
But,
he does a lot for the town.
Yeah.
But he understands.
Yeah.
And we need more people that think like he does.
Yeah.
We have to promote Plymouth. We don't promote it enough.
We don't.
No.
And it's like you said, the signboards.
Took us how long to get the license plates for crying out
Yeah,
loud?
the signboards.
I still haven't got mine yet.
And they're coming out soon. They went to the registry. But there's little things. It's little things, and we need to have someone, some of the property owners to clean up their buildings.
Yeah.
And I sit on the board of the Plymouth Bay Cultural District, which is the 26th or 27th cultural district that's been awarded in Massachusetts. And we're finally going to get on setting the space building on that side, and then as you come down 44, right across with the Welcome Plymouth sign, we're going to get another one there, which welcomes everybody to the cultural district, which again is all about the restaurants, the retail, the music, the arts, the theater, everything that we have to offer. And we have a lot to offer here.
Oh,
Priscilla Theater has been renovated, and they're doing a great job there. So that's sort of a little bit, but again, we wouldn't have any of that if it wasn't for the original history,
Right.
which goes back to what we've been talking about. And I've talked to Michelle about this many times.
It's the end.
It's the end. This is the end, my friend.
It's the end.
Where did time go?
Hey, want to thank everybody again. If it's Wednesday, it's Talk of the Town, 3 Amigos. And again, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank David for calling in. When he goes on vacation, the phones don't ring.
That's right.
But again, thank everybody for coming in. Let's be passionate about this town. Let's make things happen, whether it has to do with elderly, whether it has to do with our town, the 400. Let's get out there and make things happen. Don't sit back and be apathetic. We've been doing that enough in this country, and look where it's gotten us. But again, thanks, and this was show 387. If you see Ken or Karen or the 3 Amigos around town, say hi to us. Have a great night, everybody.
See you in 7.
See you in 7.